Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it's a weekend again, and as normal, it would be a movie review, and it's definitely one I've been to see. It is The Sound of Freedom. So this doesn't have many major players, as far as I'm aware, in it, but it is a very based on a true event. So it is Jim Caviezel's character. He is a American officer, a CIA, FBI. I can't quite remember exactly what department he works for, and he is part of a task force that tackles paedophilia. So going into it, just wherever you don't know what this film is about, obviously it does cover paedophiles, children's slavery and stuff, and the subject matter is quite harsh when you don't get to see much scenes. It is done in a very clever way that it may look like stuff is going to happen but doesn't, and there are ways that the reason why that was filmed is obviously so the kids had no idea what was happening, because they are supposed to be victims even though they're just children actors, and I thought that was very clever. So it is Jim Caviezel. He is basically going after a paedophile, goes after him, and then decides that, speaking with a colleague, that it's been quite harsh on him, and that, he's caught all these paedophiles but haven't actually saved any kids, and then he decides to kind of take on his mission to save this kid. He manages to coerce the bloke paedophile he captures, manages to save this boy, Miguel, and returns him to his dad, and finds out that you see at the beginning of the movie that Miguel and his sister, unfortunately, were both kidnapped, or their dad was conned into believing that they were going to a talent agency, and unfortunately were taken into child slavery and all the other stuff. I say is the whole subject matter is treated very well with very delicate hands, and is done very tastefully. But I don't think you could watch this movie without getting angry that there are so many people out there and stuff. And anyway, so he finds this boy, and it's his mission to then go and find her sister and hopefully return her to her dad. That's it. I didn't really know anything. I knew he had to go after some kids. I didn't know it was about paedophilia or anything like that. I actually come out very, very emotional, I would say, of this movie. Shook up in a way. And basically, if you're going to watch this, there is a bit after. So when the credit starts, it tells you that there's a message 2 minutes into it, and I would definitely watch it. It tells you a lot of information about this movie. They had issues releasing it because of the subject matter, and Jim Caviezel gives kind of a speech on it of how to help it. They wanted to promote it. Now I come to it and I say, if you have not seen this movie, if it is on at your cinema, if it is on at your stream site, please go see this. Give it a chance and get the message that this comes across to basically stop. I mean, the statistics in this is absolutely astonishing, of that slavery, even though it is not a legislated thing like it used to be back in the day, there are more people that slaves. A majority of them are kids, and how they're being abused. I mean, it's millions, and that is just, that's just wrong. Kids should be kids. They shouldn't be subjected to any of this, and people doing it for money because it is the biggest growing industry, is what the movie says, is absolutely horrendous. But obviously this movie is out there to promote a message. Now, this message is on there is to encouraging people, and it gives a QR code to pass the ticket on, which I was going to do, but when I got home to follow that through, I realised this has already been out in July, and it was more based for the American ones, and it did really, really well. I think it was on a 14 million budget, and it made almost 200 million. It is one of the most successful independent movies ever made, which I'm so happy to hear, because this deserves it. I'm hoping some of this money, this profit, goes towards these charities, and I think it does, because obviously this is based on the true events. The person, Jim Caviezel's character, who's playing and actually is a real person, he has an agency now who tries to get kids out of this, and anything we can do to that is a very big encouragement. So anyway, I know it's been a big spoiler, big talking at the beginning, but yeah, I definitely recommend go see this. I say, if you get a chance, go see it at the cinema, help promote this and share this with people, because I feel like whether you like the movie or it is a very good movie, and it is a subject matter that we should make more people aware of, and anything we can do to help prevent stuff like this is definitely worthwhile. So anyway, I'll bang up the spoiler review, and let's get into the movie review itself. So as I said, I kind of shifted the story a bit. So the story starts off with, you have this dad and his 2 kids, and this agent comes to the house and basically says she's a talent agent, he's seen the kids and she wants to promote them. He goes to this office block, he drops the kids off, she says return at 7 because the dads aren't allowed to be there. They go in, you see them taking photos with other kids and stuff like that. Nothing too untoward, just smart photos and stuff, but you kind of get an inkling. He obviously comes back and there's nobody there, his kids have been taken, whoever's, you know, it was a little strange that there was no other parents there besides him, but anyway, these 2 kids, and then it goes to Jim Caviezel's character of doing a raid on a paedophile, and then obviously finding all these folders and this material that they all have to go through and log and everything, and it is horrendous. And he's talking with this fellow agent, saying that, you know, it's hard, and he's like, how many have you done? And he goes, you know, this is the 288th paedophile he's caught, which is impressive that he's getting, but he says, like, you know, how many kids have you freed? And it was like, the answer would have been none. He doesn't say it, but that's it. But it's like, yeah, you're stopping the paedophiles, but there is kids still being abused out there and stuff, and which is horrendous that this is happening in the first place. Anyway, Jim Caviezel kind of convinces the paedophile to give him access to one of the children, because after this talk, and he has a big family himself, he goes home, I think he has 7 kids. You know, he's like, I kind of want to do something. I should, you know, this job breaks you apart, and I can imagine it'd be horrendous to do it. I mean, he was obviously good at his job to catch paedophiles because he caught 288 of them at that time, but the emotional scarring on this person must be absolutely horrendous. Anyway, he obviously takes on the mission, converses the person, and then manages to get hold of the young lad, Miguel, who reunites with his father, and this is where you find out that he has a sister, and he kind of takes it on his mission. It goes under a sanctioned mission, and he has time away to him actually quitting his job to do this, to actually go and get this girl. And there's a lot of twists and turns. I don't want to say too much. As I say, the acting all round is really, really good. Jim Caviezel was the main bloke, and his wife is played by Mina Suvari. They're the only 2 major actors I know. The other people I hadn't really recognised from anything. Oh, and his boss. I can't think of it. Maybe from Friends or other stuff like that. But apart from that, there isn't really anyone in there. And obviously it's the story of him trying to find it, trying to bust Peter. You know, I mean, they do this big bust on this island, manage to bust a load of people and get a load of kids, but not this one. And she is furthering like the kind of South Mexico into like guerrilla territory and what he has to go through. Now, it doesn't say exactly how mirror it is, but you do get to see stock image at the end of some of the raids and stuff. So it is quite factual, and it is quite clever how they play this. And then, as I say, the film ends. It does end on a good ending for the most part, but it still is only he saves 2 children. It then goes into explaining a little bit about, you know, how many like, you know, the paedophiles and slavery is the gross trade, you know, it's massive in America, and I'm surprised at how bad it is, you know, and it just is absolutely shocking that the fact that this movie has upset you, you know, and you only see a limited amount of kids, of how bad it actually is in the real world. And then obviously you have this speech, and it's Jim Caviezel sitting down saying that, you know, it took 5 years to do it, no one wanted to be associated to what they wanted, you know, and they're trying to send a message, and that, you know, he is a very religious person. I have heard of things that Jim Caviezel's person, good and bad. I understand, obviously, being a Christian, that's fine, that's his book, really. And I think him saying, like, you know, kids need to be kids, they're God's kids in his eyes, or they're kids and they should be kids, they shouldn't be subjected to any of this. And yeah, it absolutely just kind of left a hammer on your heart as you're leaving the thing, you know. And for a movie to do that hadn't, you know, shocked me. I mean, it's hard to say that I really enjoyed this movie because of the subject matter, but it was such emotional rock to me that the reason I struggled, and I tried to do a review last night, and I was a bit all over the shop, and I was like, no, I'm going to have to wait and just let myself calm down. So I'm going to give this a score, a 7.5 out of 10. Now, this rating has gone up just because of the message at the end, just how it all ties it in. I know necessarily the message isn't necessarily direct to the film, it's an added bit, but because of the subject matter and stuff, well, I do think it is a very good film. I'm very glad I got to see it at the cinema. I'm very glad it got released, and hopefully the message gets over it. And like Tim, the person who Jim Caviezel is playing, has done a lot of benefit for it. I'm hoping there's profits from this movie go to help him do more, because there should be more people like him out there that do this. You know, that help kids and help people, just people in general, in slavery and everything else. It's, you know, it's, there is so much dark in this world that it is nice to actually see the light, the good side of stuff. Anyway, this has been my review for The Sound of Freedom. As I say, if you do get a chance to see this, please do see this film, whether I stream it, hopefully legitimately stream it, go to the cinema, definitely, or buy it, because I will definitely be buying it, maybe even if they do a special copy of this, because this deserves to be in people's collections, it deserves to have money behind it. I've been Cypher Sigma. Hope you enjoyed this movie review. I shall be back in the next one.